Section 5.4 will be a nice way to end the chapter. It's all about factoring, so hopefully factoring will just be a review for you guys. There's a couple new factoring methods to learn, but then everything else will be things that you have seen before. And then also once we are able to factor, then we're able to solve a polynomial equation. Please put down in your notes this slide. And you've heard me mention this before, the first step of factoring, what you should always try before you try anything else, and it's going to be even more important in this chapter than it was in chapter 4, take out the greatest common factor if you can. Sometimes there's not one, but if there's a greatest common factor, you need to factor that out first. What's going to happen in chapter 5, because you guys have seen factoring already, they try to make the problems a little bit more challenging for you, and a lot of times that happens by they have a greatest common factor that you can factor out. And so that's going to be a lot more common than what you saw before, so you definitely want to make sure that you remember this first step. Alright, one of the new types of factoring, and I don't think I have another video for this, so unless I get that done, just make sure that you put this whole example, and we'll probably do a couple of them in your notes. Factor by grouping, this is used when a polynomial has 4 terms. So that's kind of your red flag. Oh, I have 4 terms, I have to factor by grouping. So what we do to make the factoring easier for us is we group the 4 terms into 2 groups. We're just going to look at we're going to group the first 2 terms and group the second 2 terms. So when we group the first 2 terms, you just look for that GCF. Is there a greatest common factor you can take out of both terms? And we'd say, all right, a 3 will come out of both, and an A, and that's about it. So I was just looking at what we'll factor out of this first group. And then parentheses, what do you have left? You'd have a 4B minus 5. Then the next thing that you're going to do, whatever this middle sign is, you're just going to bring this down. So I'm going to have a plus sign. So I always know what sign goes there because it will match the middle sign of your polynomial. And now you look at your second group. What can you factor out of a 28b minus 35? And you'd say, well, a 7 will come out of both of those. So we're going to factor out a 7. And what are you left with? 4b minus 5. And if you're doing your factoring by grouping correctly, these 2 inside your parentheses will match. If these are not the same, then stop what you're doing and try to figure it out because something's wrong. So what we do now is we do a little bit more factoring. Do you see how we have this one big term and this one big term? They both have a 4b minus 5 in them. So what we do is we actually factor that 4b minus 5 out front. So we write it down just once, and then our second set of parentheses is just whatever you have left. You have a 3a and a plus 7. And now it's factored. So whatever's in your parentheses, it should match. It's just going to show up once in your answer because technically we factored it out front. And then what are you left with? A 3a plus 7. You put those together in your second parentheses. All right, let's just run through this one. We see 4 terms, so factor by grouping. Group the first 2, group the second 2. So if you're looking at 4x cubed minus 3x squared, we can take an x squared out of both terms. And then what are you left with? A 4x minus 3. And then whatever your middle sign is just comes down, so I'm going to bring down a minus. And then 12x minus 9, we can factor a 3 out. And you're left with 4x minus 3. And then here's your checkpoint. You say, do my parentheses match? Oh, they match. We're on the right track. So 4x minus 3 comes out front. And then in your other parentheses, what do you have left? You have an x squared and a minus 3. And now we are done factoring. Well, we are done factoring, but you do want to check a 4x minus 3, can that be factored any further? X squared minus 3, can that be factored any further? Those actually cannot be. And then I also kind of forgot to mention from the very, very beginning, was there anything that could be taken out of all 4 terms? There wasn't, so I didn't mention it, but I should have, because that's how you always start the problem. All right, so that's all I have for you for an intro video. There's a lot of factoring I did not go through, a lot of the review factoring. So you do need to watch the review factoring just so that you kind of refresh your memory on how it works. And here's just a screenshot of what you'll see in Moodle. We have section 5.4, and then, oh, we're missing one, the one that you're watching right now. The intro video is right here. Whoa, it's big. The intro video is just right here. Okay, I meant to make that smaller, whatever. Okay, so what I want you guys to do is everybody needs to watch these. All right, you have your factoring your difference of squares, in case you don't remember what that looks like. Oh, looks like I do have a sum or difference of cubes. That's good, because that's usually a harder one. And then this is just factoring your basic x squared plus bx plus c, and then also solving for x by that. So you're going to watch those 4 videos, and factoring is quick, so they're not going to be long videos. And then what I want you to do is decide, if you're a guess and checker, then you watch the guess and check videos. If you like the FIFO, factor in, factor out, then watch these videos. I don't need you to watch all 4, just go with your method of factoring that you like best and watch those. So in total, sorry to say it, but you'll have 6, but again, they're just quick, so don't worry about it. And a good refresher, because this whole section is just factor, 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 and you're going to want a refresher on your factoring.